Project Zomboid, is it worth playing? Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Pixelated Quest and today we'll be playing Project Zomboid and figuring out if it's worth playing. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to my channel or leaving a like or a comment. Now, Project Zomboid is an isometric open-world survival game which was released back in November 2013 by the Indie Stone. So why am I playing it now? You see, Project Zomboid is still to this day receiving constant game updates featuring new mechanics, content and map updates, bug fixes and much more. And the game being 10 years old and still constantly receiving updates is huge and means that the developer at the Indie Stone are doing something right. Which seem to be one of the few gaming studios that still value what they produce, hence quality over quantity and microtransactions. And the players seem to think the same, as Project Zomboid has right now a review score of 94% positive reviews out of a total of 203,000 reviews on Steam, and the player count over the past 24 hours peaking at a 30,000 while recording this video, which is almost triple the amount as Starfield for comparison. And not to mention this horseshit. In Project Zomboid, your goal is to survive as long as possible in an apocalyptic and zombie-ridden area around Louisville, Kentucky. On top of avoiding zombies, which are almost everywhere depending on the chosen game mode, we need to manage our personal needs: hunger, stress, fatigue, boredom, and scavenging for supplies. Now, an important thing to note here, while we are starting the game and the scene loads in, we have an on-screen message saying, "This is how you die." Keep this in mind for the end of this video. So after I turned on all the lights in my house, I'm ready to give this game another go, and here's my take on it. The game is set around an event called the Nox event, which is essentially the zombie virus outbreak, for which there is no cure and is known to be 100% fatal. The game begins on July 9, 1993, approximately 3 days after the United States military establishes a blockade surrounding the infected area around Louisville, Kentucky. Just 8 days after the first recording of the virus, there are confirmed cases from all over the world: Cincinnati, Mogadishu, Seoul, Okinawa, and England. In a final broadcast, General McGrew commands any survivors still listening to the broadcast to defend themselves, stressing the importance of their survival for the continuation of humanity as we know it. Subsequently, most radio and television stations cease operation by July 18th, marking the end of the world. I already have goosebumps just how the base premises of this game is set up. For this video, I choose from the main menu to play solo mode and the apocalypse playstyle, with my starting location being West Point, which is also the area with which I'm most familiar. Then we need to pick the character's occupation, for which I find Carpenter to be the best choice, and give him the trait Cat's Eyes for better night vision. Here you can choose from a variety of different positive traits, but with each positive trait that you add, you'll need to also add a negative trait in order to balance the skill points. Then I create my character with some personalized features and we are good to go. These are the end times. There is no hope for survivals. This is how you die. This is how we are greeted by the game, with 3 very simple yet powerful sentences. Now, starting off, we are in a random house somewhere in West Point. A completely deserted house, I hope at least. Because you see, even in houses such as this one, you can find zombies inside, and this can get a bit worrying if you're in a small room to start off with. I go through the house quickly and try to find anything that I might need for my journey, as I want to go to a somewhat secluded and isolated location up north, with only trees surrounding me. Most important at this point will be to find any kind of unspoiled food, but as my luck would have it, I find nothing in this house that I could eat without cooking first. So I set off with just a few essential items. This part of the game is called running, well, sprinting to be precise. The game even has a sprint skill. You will soon know why. Anyhow, I start running around trying to dodge and avoid any zombies that I can see around me. Very soon I have the entire zombie population of West Point rallying behind me and giving me the experience what it would be like if I was a pop star. This might seem like a problem, but it really is not that bad. You see, zombies in this game are not particularly fast, and you can basically outwalk them, as most of them do not walk faster as you do. The only thing you need to be careful when applying the walking away method is staying clear of any nearby zombies, because if they are in reaching distance, they can lunge a few feet towards you just a bit quicker than they are walking, and this is how zombies get me at least. Oh yeah, and walking into a shopping center overflowing with zombies in Louisville and then forgetting where the exit is. Yeah, these get me also. Once reaching a small forest passage, I go directly into the forest knowing that zombies have a difficult time following me here. After a few minutes of running around and eventually leaving the forest passage, I finally come clear of the zombie horde that was following me. On my way north, I decide to do some foraging. Foraging is for me one of the more important elements later on in the game. Once water and electricity are shut down and you ransack every house around you, as foraging will provide you some of the basic materials needed for crafting items that are extremely valuable for surviving later on. I pick up a few sticks, some mushrooms and some berries. After a short while I finally reach my destination. This here will be my base. I usually go with this house as this is very far from any zombie hordes and offers an opportunity to set up everything before water and electricity are shut down. Also, if you are a scaredy cat like me and like to avoid zombies as much as possible, I recommend finding an off-the-grid cabin in the woods and you are somewhat zombie-free. I search the new house for a bit and after stumbling upon a tenant in my new house, I give them the "You are 3 months behind on your rent" treatment. Then I start to play a little game with the items in my inventory, where in my mind I organize everything neatly in cabinets and closets. For example, only books, newspapers and magazines in one closet, in one crate only canned food, one cabinet for various cooking items, and you get the drift, right? I do this every time and every freaking time I have trouble finding anything afterwards. After orderly misplacing most of my items, never to be seen again, I realize it would be good to eat something. So, a cooking pot filled with water and some beef with salt will have to do for now. After violating the family fireplace with the cooking pot, I am ready for some exploring. I go and visit the neighbors and make use of the items they left behind. Completely stashed with my neighbor's valuables, I am then greeted by what I can only assume is one of the owners of these houses here, and who does not seem ready to have a neighborly chat with me, so I introduce my metal pipe with his hat, repeatedly. Then I notice he brought some friends along, and my cockiness will almost get the better of me here. While dealing with the female zombie and bashing her skull, I make a fatal move and the male zombie lunges into me and just like that I get scratched. At this point I could not have been luckier, as just before while ransacking one of the neighbors' houses I found a bottle of disinfectant and bandages which I immediately apply on the wound and most likely I should survive this. Now, unlike most Steam reviews will tell you that drinking bleach will cure the virus, I go with the disinfecting my wound option. Scratches, unlike bites, are not 100% fatal. If I would be bitten, it would be over for me, but luckily it was just a scratch and I had disinfectant with me. After tending to my wound, I go back into the house and monitor my temperature for a day or two, as I was still a bit unsure what will happen next. After seeing my temperature rise slightly, I start to make peace with God. In a last-ditch effort, I even resorted to reading what I assumed was the Bible. But then my temperature normalized slowly, and after 2 days I was still alive. To celebrate my newfound life, I decided to build a fence and a wall, completely blocking my entrance. After completing my main entrance with a nice big door for a possible car, I felt safe again. As time goes by in Project Zomboid, you can notice that vegetation reclaims a lot of the tiles in the game, making the whole experience that much more realistic. For example, my house is after 3 months covered in leafy vines, the house is cracked on several places, and the garden is overgrown with all sorts of trees and bushes. Now, equipped with a car, I make myself off to explore the surrounding areas, mainly the parts that are too far to walk to and take more than a day to get to. After driving around a bit and hitting a few zombies along the way, I get to this house. While I was not able to find anything useful for myself in the house besides beef jerky and some other stuff, I did manage to find in the small shed next to the house a power generator in 100% condition. As I did not have a power generator yet, and even if I did, I like to have a backup generator for my backup generator. I threw that thing into the car and took it home with me. I went and offloaded the generator on my porch for now and went back into town to sip in some gas from cars. Arriving home, I filled the generator with gas and got it to run. At this point, we had electricity on demand if we would need it at any later point, for whatever reason. Now if you remember, at the beginning of this video I said keep this in mind for later. Now you see, the wording presented while loading into the game reads, "This is how you die," is actually very important, as Project Zomboid is not so much about surviving the apocalypse, but rather understanding that you will die eventually. At least this was the case for me. You see, once I was no longer hung up with the fact that I need to survive the apocalypse, I enjoyed the game even more than before, daring to do stuff that I otherwise would not have done if I would stay only focused on surviving. Once you get to the point in game where you are either scratched or bitten and die, you can play out the death and afterwards reload the game session with a new character. It is however true that your skills are not transferred to the new character and you need to acquire them from the beginning, but the game as you left it is still there. Even more, if you are playing the multiplayer version and have claimed the house, you are, unlike in the single player mode, where you are again thrown into a random house, in the house you claimed in the multiplayer mode. Though you might find your old character being a zombie now, so watch out for yourself. Project Zomboid is truly a great game developed and fine-tuned over the course of a decade. The game always feels well balanced and never forgets to remind you that you are in a zombie-infested apocalypse, delivering from time to time a huge or a small dose of fear while you are just about to cook a meal in your well-barricaded house, or you are too tired to reach any house while venturing off and you have to sleep in a tent in the woods somewhere, still being a day's walk away from your base. Most importantly, the developers have succeeded in developing a truly unique survival experience. With the backstory in mind, it not only provides you with a sense of what the game will be like, but more impressively, they constantly convey that same feeling throughout the actual gameplay. I believe this is a feature not achieved by many games. Now for some reviews. Don't play this game if you have a heart condition. Crashed 4 cars within 2 days, only got hurt once, tripped on a tree, my legs bled and lost my weapon. All beginner tips said I need to crouch and sneak, so I just kept running. Bandaged my body like a mummy, and my first aid level went up like crazy. Died anyways. Amazing game. I have yet to drink bleach, but it calls my name. So, should you play Project Zomboid? Do you like flesh-eating zombies hoarding every possible can of food you can find, eating cockroaches and drinking water out of a toilet? If so, Project Zomboid will surely live up to your expectations. In the words of one reviewer of Project Zomboid, a zombie bit my left ball sack and I died. Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, please consider subscribing to my channel and leaving a like or a comment. This would help me make more such videos and grow my channel. Have a wonderful day!